Hi pilots, my name is Pete with bananahobby.com. Today we are bringing you a what's in the box review and a build review of the FMS BlitzRCworks, the ASK-23. And this is basically what I call your box and build, where I will show you the contents of what comes in this box of this near ready to fly ASK-23, and then we'll go right into the hands-on build and then ultimately get this to the flying field or a cliff or a mountainside to do some fun slope soaring for you. A little bit about sailplanes here that I'd like to talk about. Right now, from BlitzRCworks and FMS, there are 3 models available. It is the ASW-28, this is the ASK-23, and then the Fox aerobatic glider. And what this is, how can I say it best? Like when I was a kid, when I was younger, I used to take the bus, and then when I first got my driver's license, I remember taking my slope airplanes and going to hills and hillsides and then the beach and places like that to do what I call slope soaring. And what slope soaring is I'll talk more in depth about slope soaring at another time when we actually get to the flying portions of these models for you. What they are scale sailplanes that are actually flying around the world. The ASK-23 is very, very popular. The ASW-28, which we will do next, that is actually my favorite model out of all of these sailplanes. I have several full fiberglass composite sailplanes, and they range from a duodiscus to an ASW-27, just a different sort of genre of flying. And this part of it has a lot to do with your passion for flying, because when you're at the hill with an airplane without a motor, you're at the mercy of the air and the air currents and the wind. But we'll talk more about that, and that's what makes this so special, because now this company, we were able to build these beautiful scale replicas of these sailplanes that fly all around the world, whether it's aero towing or it's basically it's cliffs, like a slope soaring kind of stuff. And now what I call this is basically your power assisted soaring. There is a motor mounted to the front end of this beautiful sailplane, and then you can actually just fun fly this at your local field, or you can take it to a cliff, you can take it to a mountainside or a beachside cliff and learn how to fly an airplane off of the air currents. And then when you get in a jam, you can always power on your throttle and then get out of there. And that's what I think is so special. Also the fact that there's like very limited and minimal building to something like this, and then you're out flying. So this is the ASK-23. The wingspan comes out to 2,300 millimeters, and that is 90.6 inches. And the suggested LiPo battery for this will be an 11.1 volt, 1800 milliamp battery pack. And I think you could probably go up to about a 2200 milliamp rating. And we'll go into more about that in detail a little bit later once we start taking things out of the box. It's a brushless outrunner with folding propellers. And it's your basic 4-channel function, 4-channel control surface here. This is all white. Decals are pre-installed, and this is a T-tail. And this is really pretty. It actually has 3 main landing gear wheels. So like I said, with that, let's just go ahead and start taking things out of the box here. So I can give you a rundown of what you can expect if you pick up one of these ASK-23s here. Sweet. Okay, let's go ahead and get this. Scissors here. I'm going to go ahead and cut the box here. FMS always does a great job with this top cardboard to keep it from crushing during the shipment. I know there's a lot of different types of genres of flying out there, and we seem to cover quite a bit of them. And in the future, I'm looking to bring you more and more fun and engaging videos, especially with sailplanes. Sailplanes is something that I've loved all my life. Traveled all over the place, flying airplanes that exceed 300 miles an hour without a motor on it. It's actually incredible. That's called dynamic soaring. We'll talk about that another time here. And then let's go ahead now. We're going to go ahead and cut this open, and we will see what actually comes out of the box here. Awesome. Okay, the first thing that comes out is your manual. And in your manual in here, you have a catalog as well for 2012. And then there is a ESC programming guide that we will probably talk about that a little bit later. The first thing let's get out here is are your main wings here. There we go. Okay, let's get this out of the way. When I talk about a nice sailplane, I mean, this is something that, like, just absolutely incredible, because when I was growing up, this wasn't possible. We had to build our own airplanes. And then now, you know, this is available to where you can pretty much just a couple of bolts and screws and you're out flying. So your main wings are linked together for the ailerons in the center, so you got to keep them together. But these are your main wings. As you can see, the wingspan is really, really big. They are carbon sparred all the way down that I can see, and it gives it a lot of rigidity. I actually had the pleasure of flying the ASK-23 already, and flies just really nice. Just a really nice flying sailplane. So your main wings are removable, so your transportation will be a lot easier. Okay, this is your fuselage. Look at that beautiful ASK-23 fuselage. This is fully EPO foam construction, so when you're learning how to slope soar, or if you're just fun flying it, these bodies, these frames can actually take a beating, and then you can keep flying them. And super glue is actually safe on this. You can see here you have your 3 main landing wheels here. So if you do choose to do a grass landing or something like that, or a gravel or a concrete landing, it's okay. The wheels will take care of it. You might want to put a little bit of tape underneath the main wing tips to keep it from scratching if you choose. Your main canopy comes off, and your battery compartment is right here, and your speed control is right here. And like I said, after looking at it, you can go up to like a 3300 if you wanted to. 3-cell pack in here. It'll definitely fit. And what I found with power-assisted slope soaring, or these gliders here, even if they're a little bit nose heavy, it doesn't really affect it too much. You just kind of give it a little bit of up elevator and it'll be okay. However, you do have your freedom of moving the battery around a little bit in there to CG it correctly. So that's always a good thing. And look at that. Very detailed scale cockpit with the instrument panel and a pilot. Nice. Your rudder is already pre-hinged and pretty much ready to go. Let's go ahead and set that aside. And this is your top wing cover. So this basically will just snap down into place once we get to the point of actually building it. And these are your accessories that come with the ASK-23. You have your control horn hinges here, and then your servo covers for your main wings here, so that you don't strip the servo gears out. And then we have the horizontal stabilizer. Again, there's no gluing on here except for the main servo covers for the ailerons here. So this is your T-tail mount for your horizontal stabilizer and your elevator. And this is pretty much ready to go. And here's a little pointer for you. With everything that's full EPO foam hinged, when you first get it, it's always good to grab it and sit there and just bend it a couple of times like this, probably 10 or 15 times is enough. You just want to soften up that EPO foam hinge there, the hinge line, so that the servo doesn't work as hard trying to move your control surface. So that's pretty much ready to go. We're going to do that to the main wing as well. Okay, here we have the remaining contents, pretty much your main wing spar, and then another main wing spar guide rod. So these two go into the main wings, into the main wing sleeves right there for the strength there when you connect the two main wings together. And then that is it. And then this is your last thing here, which is the included rubber cement, which is stuck in the box. Awesome. Okay, well, things like this happen because, so I can explain it a little bit. The glue is actually stuck in the box because it actually oozed out and it's stuck to the cardboard. And the reason why, I'll tell you, is this. These things come, and they come through a lot of climate changes. And when they go through climate changes, sometimes the glues blow up. And if that happens, usually it comes off on the bottom, which is okay because it's still glued stuck. Your glue's still good from the top, and then just punch it, and then you have your glue here. But when you glue those covers on there, you can actually just use tape if you wanted to. Probably wouldn't even use glue. You can use tape. You can use Elmer's glue, or just some clear packing tape, or some fiber tape. So with that, this is your ASK-23. And we will jump straight into the build here and show you how quickly this ASK-23 goes together. Let's go ahead and jump straight into the build. Let's go ahead and open the manual right now, and let's see what the manual says. The manual reads for our first steps here. Okay, let's see. The manual already asks us to go ahead and connect the main wings with the wing tubes. However, I'm going to actually veer off from the main manual just because I have another method that's a little bit more efficient and makes the build a little bit easier. So we will jump into what I call building this Pete style here. Let's go ahead and get into our parts accessories bag here that was included. Let's go ahead and open it. And we will empty all the contents here. Okay, these are our covers. We're going to set that aside because we don't need that for now. And these are the wing joiners. We don't need that for now because we are not joining the main wing as of yet. And what we want to do right now is I would like for you to go ahead and empty out the bag with all the contents of the main screws, and then you have your control surface horns and a push rod and 3 screws here. Right now what we want to do is we would like to install all of our control surface horns first. So it makes it a lot easier. Okay, I'm going to locate the bag. I'm going to move that. And included is a Phillips screwdriver, so you don't even need any tools basically here. Okay, let me get that a little closer. We have the bag here containing the control surface horns for the ailerons here. So let's go ahead and open that, and we will empty that out. Okay, we have 2 push rods that we're going to set aside. We have, see all these screws. We have 2 sets of control surface horns, and then we have to differentiate the screws here, because there are 2 screws per horn, and then the screws are different lengths. There's 2 long ones, and then there's 2 short ones, and then 2 of them are spares. So we're going to set that aside. Okay, so right now, I would like for you to grab your main wing. Be careful because it is one piece with the aileron servo connector in the center here still connected. So be careful. Let's go ahead and move that aside. Okay, we're going to go ahead and flip one wing, and we will install our control surface horn. Look at the horn. The horn is angled on one side, and then it's flat on the other. The flat side here with the holes here will be facing the servo itself. Okay, so don't make that mistake and install it backwards. We're going to go ahead and just press that down, press to fit. Fits good. Okay, our backing here is flat on one side, and then the other side is flat. However, the areas where the screw actually goes into, they rise above the flat area, so it's actually got a little bit more of a bite to it. So that's the side that we want to face down. So we're going to grab our aileron here, and we're going to set that inside. There we go, facing down, so it's nice and flush on top. Make sure you see what side the screw actually goes into, so it goes into this side. Okay, so your longer screw here in that bag will go into the root side. And before we even put the other screw in there, I just want to go ahead and tighten this a little bit, make sure it bites, the threads bite, which it does. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and install the screw here. The shorter one goes towards the trailing edge side here. Okay, so that's on. This one installs good, and it bites. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and tighten this down. And I want to make sure you understand that this is going into foam, so we don't want to over-tighten. Once you feel enough tension, and you can physically grab this and move this a little bit, and you see that it does not move, it's ready to go there. Okay, so that's one. Let's go ahead and move this aside. And we will install this one on the other wing in the same fashion here. Okay. Again, this is unheard of, like this type of a build. Before it took so long for me to get one of these going, and then now I think there's probably like a total of maybe 10 pieces here on the table, and then you're out flying here. Okay, here we go. We have good tension, so we are tightening. And that's pretty good there. Okay, so we can call our main wing here pretty much done for the ASK-23. As far as the control horns there, we will do the push rods at a later time when we're actually installing our radio. So let's go ahead and look at this here. This is our fuselage, and we have one horn going on here. And the horn will be going in the facing direction of this rudder push rod. So the horn's going to be going on this side. So you have one bag left, and then the other bag is this bag actually has spare horns in it and an Allen wrench and everything. Those are all spares. You have one bag containing another control surface horn and a backing. And this is for your rudder. So let's go ahead and install the one for the rudder right now. Okay, the flat portion with the holes will be facing towards the push rod itself. So I'm going to press a little bit, and then I'm going to just grab my backing. Once again, we're going to go right into there. Okay, these screws here, there's a whole bunch of them because they are spares. The longer one goes towards the root of the rudder, and then the shorter one will be going towards the trailing edge of the rudder here. Okay, we're going to grab my screwdriver. And okay, what happened is I missed the backing there, so we'll just line her up one more time. Going to put a little bit of tension on that so it doesn't move when we're trying to tighten this. Awesome. I missed again. Here we go. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of playing around here just to get the holes to line up here. Okay, let's try this one more time. Okay, third time's a charm. We got it. Now we're going to go to the trailing edge and just give her a tighten down. Okay, that little screwdriver there is not working because it needs a little bit more tension, so I'm going to use the provided screwdriver. And when you know that it's tight enough, these screws are tight enough, you can kind of physically see that the horn itself and the plastic base is starting to pull into the foam a little bit, and then you know pretty much it's ready. Okay, so that's your tail section with the control surface horn mounted and ready to go. And they still want us to do the main wing first, which I guess it's probably okay because we have to mount the main wing to then do the tail section here. So let's go ahead and do the main wing. And when I say go ahead and mount the main wing, what we are basically doing is we're going to connect. Keep those screws in a little Ziploc baggie that's actually included, so you don't lose those screws there. Okay, we're going to go ahead and identify our push rods. Our main wing spar. And you want to make note that this main wing spar is not flat. It's in a V shape. Okay, there's a little bit of dihedral in the main wing. So you want the V shape, you want it to be in a V shape, not like opposite. So it's in the V shape area. And this is both for this guide rod and the larger one. So we will, okay, there's a piece of foam inside the hole here, so that's something good to check for. A little piece of foam inside the wing spar area, so we do want to remove that. Make sure that this hole is clear and clear of any obstructions. Here's a pointer, here's a tip for you. You can see the V shape right here. You can physically feel it too. What you want to do is, if you can grab your Sharpie and just mark it like that, you can kind of see how far you need to insert this before it needs to stop. And you want to do the same thing for the smaller rod. You don't actually have to, but this is just something visual so you know how far you're inserting this. So now I'm just going to go ahead and insert the larger one where it stops right here. And you see that it wants to rotate a little bit, which is okay. Okay, we'll do the smaller guide rod here. Press and stop. Perfect. Now we will go ahead and join the two wing halves together. Okay, I'm going to press that a little bit. There we go. Perfect fit. And right here, here's another tip. When you go to grab your main wings to press them together, always grab them with the palms of your hands, not with your fingertips, because your fingertips may go ahead, it will damage, it'll actually dent the foam. So you want to use your palm of your hands. There we go. Okay, let's go ahead and see what side. Pretty much. Okay, we want the wires to actually come down. So it's on the bottom of the wing here, and we'll press this all the way home. There we go. Perfectly lined up. And we are good to go there. Okay, now you want to locate your two main wing halves here. This is the hold downs, basically. The one with your hexagon shapes down here, this is the bottom side, so we're going to put this on the bottom. And it just presses right into place, just like that. So it looks like this. It's right down into place. And then the top half. Just like that. Okay, so now your main wing is pretty much joined here. You can give it a little push if you feel that it's not joined enough, but it's this won't be visible because there is a main wing cover there. Okay, so now we're going to go into the other bag here with all the machine screws. There's a whole bag of machine screws here. We're going to set that down here. And I believe they are the 4 shorter machine screws here for the hold down here for the center section, so the two main wing halves don't come apart here. So let's go ahead and take a look here. They will go to the 4 outside. The front side is the leading edge will go to the 2 outside holes. 1, 2, okay, and then the back ones will go to the 2 rear holes. So that one there, 1 and then 2. And then we're going to use our screwdriver. There is a lock nut already in place on the other side, so we will just now tighten this down. That one tightened down pretty quick there. Yep, they are lined up. So this part, definitely you want to make sure that it's tightened down so that it's holding the 2 wing halves together with pretty good tension here. You can kind of physically feel that the wing joiner here is starting to pull down into position. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and just keep tightening this one side at a time. Remember not to over tighten. Okay, so that is pretty good there. Then you always can go back and do a once over. Make sure everything is tight, which they are. Now your main wing is joined and pretty much ready to fly here for the main wing. So we're going to set the main wing aside and we will grab the fuselage. Okay, for the fuselage portion, it's pretty simple here. We're going to go ahead and remove the canopy. Go ahead and back this out a little bit so you can see this rather large wingspan here. Okay, we're going to remove the canopy. And all you have to do now is when you're getting ready to go flying, because obviously you're not going to transport this in one piece. You're going to transport this in 2 pieces, which would be a lot easier. You laid your main wing into the wing saddle. Your aileron servo wires are exposed out front. And all you're going to do is line this up and then press. And this is in place here. And then you have 4 of these long wing bolts here. Okay, and they go into the 4 remaining holes on top of the main wing here. And then you kind of just wiggle it around until they actually fit into the hole. And once they do, grab your little screwdriver and press a little bit so they go down. There we go. Okay, the front ones are actually already biting, so we're good. That's what I love about FMS Blitz. These airplanes go together like a puzzle, and they fit so nicely. Okay, so once we're there, we're just going to go diagonal and tighten them down. Make sure these are down tight because this is for your, there we go, it is tight, for your hold down of the main wing here. So once we get to that portion there, our main wing is mounted. So we will spin her around because the fuselage is a little bit easier to work on now without the fuselage actually tipping over. Here we will install your horizontal stabilizer. Your servo for your elevator here is mounted on the rudder, but it's on this side here. So now all you have to do is line up this guide hinge here with the slot, and we're going to just let her sit. And that's pretty much into place already. And sometimes if you look in the holes, there may be a little bit of plastic residual, and it's called flash. Just poke something, poke a screwdriver through there, and just get rid of that little bit of plastic residual, and you're good to go. And here we are going to use the other bag, which is this one, and it has your elevator push rod included, and then it has 3 self-tapping screws. And what I mean by self-tapping is these screws actually have threads in them. I mean wider threads, so that they actually screw down into the plastic surface. So we will just go ahead and line this up here. And line this one up, and grab our screwdriver, and start to tighten. This one will be a little harder to tighten just because it is going into a plastic portion there, so I will grab a different screwdriver. This makes working on it just a little bit easier. Okay, this one we're just going to go ahead and tighten this down. Okay, don't tighten one of them down all the way. We want to tighten both of them at the same time. So the other one, once it's just about there, you stop, and then you come to your other screw here, and then you tighten that down. Okay, that's pretty much good to go there. Okay, so give it a once over, make sure it's tight, which it is. That's good to go. You know, that is pretty much your build here. And all you're doing now from here is your main wing here. Your main wing cover is snapped into position here. So we're going to slide the back end of this in first. We're going to press just like that. And then on the front side here, we're just going to press down. You can see that it's popped up. I'm going to go ahead and just press down. Palms of your hands. There we go. Snapped into place. And then you have your canopy right down into place. And that is how quickly your ASK-23 builds and comes together. Real quick here, these are your servo covers for your ailerons. Once you have installed your push rods to your ailerons, put a little bit of glue on here, or if you don't want to, you can just use clear tape and cover the push rod with the cover here. Just cover the servo and the push rod so that it doesn't strip it when you're actually going to land. And sometimes the main wing could catch the grass or something, and then it might strip that servo there. All right, let's go ahead and back the camera out. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about the motor here. That is your hands-on build, or your box end build, of the FMS BlitzRCworks ASK-23 scale sailplane. A couple of key things now that you can see this beautiful sailplane is built. Wonderful flying character. This flies absolutely great. I love flying these things. This is pretty much ready to go, with the exception of you installing your own radio system. If you choose to get it from Banana Hobby as a ready to fly, then the 2.4 gigahertz system will go right in, and just configure your ailerons, get everything set up, and you're out, at the field flying. If you're using your own radio system, in this, like I'm going to be using my own DX8, Spectrum DX8. I do not suggest, if you're using your own radio, to use any type of a park flyer size receiver. I always suggest in bigger sailplanes like this to go ahead and use a full range receiver. There's a few of them on the market from Spectrum. If you're using high-tech, if you're using Airtronics, if you're using Spectrum, JR, or Futaba, they're all different receivers there. Pick something that is full range, because the wingspan of this is pretty large, and then you get pretty far and high and out of sight pretty quickly, and you don't want to lose reception here. So I will be using the AR6200 in a DSM-2 for the flight review of this ASK here. Another thing is, when you throttle up on this on the motor here, when you first plug it into your system, if you're using your own radio, if you're not getting any kind of initializing tones, you have to do what's called a throttle endpoint calibration, or throttle calibration. And it's located inside your FMS, the ESC manual. And I believe it's on the first or the second page here. Let's just make sure we cover all the bases here. Let's see. Maybe it's third page. No, it's on the bottom of page 4. So it's on the bottom of page 4, and it's called Powering Up the ESC for the First Time and Setting the Automatic Throttle Calibration. Just really quickly, the way you do it is like this. It's very simple. Once you have everything plugged in, if you do not get any tones from your motor here, from your initializing tones from your motor, first thing you do is you check your 3 main motor wires to your speed control. Make sure all 3 of them are connected. Secondly, when you power on basically backwards. You turn your transmitter on, and then you want to pull your throttle stick all the way to the full up and highest position. Plug the battery into the ASK-23. You will hear 2 initializing tones. It would beep twice. As soon as you hear the 2 quick beeps, lower your throttle stick all the way to the lowest position, and then wait, and you'll hear 2 more initializing beeps. So a total of 4 beeps. 2 beeps at the top end of the throttle stick, 2 beeps at the low end of the throttle stick once you hear the 2 on top. And once the bottom end 2 beeps, you're done. Unplug the battery, shut the transmitter off, and you're ready to go. Now when you turn on your transmitter and you plug in the battery to your ASK-23, you will hear the initializing tones saying that the airplane is ready to go. And you're pretty much ready to fly. Another tip here is on a big white sailplane like this, go to your arts and crafts store, buy some vinyl, or buy some of your favorite decals, or red, whatever color, and differentiate the bottom from the top. Put a big old blue stripe down here, big old red stripe, black stripe, or a few stripes, or some checkers, whatever, some spray paint, whatever you have around, just to differentiate. So when you're up high, you can actually see which one's the bottom of the wing and which one is the top of the wing. Because these right here, not only are they great slope soars, you can also use them for thermal duration. You can go up there and power off on your power off on your motor, and then you could catch these hot air pockets and just actually circle around and stay up there for a really long time. And the last thing I want to cover is when you throttle up on a folding propeller, if the throttle up is normal. When you go to shut it down, most of us think, okay, well, when I shut down a motor to my propeller, it's going to keep spinning. And that is correct. However, on everything that is on the market with folding propeller blades, and you have to belly land on grass or gravel, the speed control is preset with called auto braking. And what that is when you go to shut down your throttle all the way down to the lowest position, your blades will actually stop immediately, almost like brakes. And what that does is when it stops, the blades fold back. If it doesn't stop that, if it doesn't have that inertia to stop the blades and you turn that braking off, what's going to happen is when you're flying, the air is still going over the motor, and the motor is going to keep spinning, and the propellers will stay open. And then in that case, when you land, you're probably going to break a propeller, or you're going to nick it, or you're going to chip one, or something like that. So make sure you leave the braking on. It's a benefit so that the propellers do fold back when you land against fuselage. All right, with that, I hope you found this build review of the FMS BlitzRCworks ASK-23 scale sailplane here informational. The next thing we will do is get this to a fun flying site, and make sure you check out the videos because we're planning on doing a couple of different things with these sailplanes and having some fun with it. My name is Pete. We will see you flying.